A director returns, as does a giant lizard from Japan.
And it's the last episode of the season, which means it's time to review the year and give out awards.
All this and more on this week's special episode of
Back to the Movies.
Welcome to Back to the Movies. My name is Robin Oakman.
And my name is Pettit, and we've got a very special episode for you today.
Awesome. Let's just jump right into the box office.
Yes.
Starting off at number 1, it debuted last week. The return of Hayao Miyazaki with The Boy and the Heron. I have not gotten the chance to go out and see it yet, but I definitely want to.
Yeah, I also want to see it over winter break, along with like 3 other films. So I'm quite excited for this one, the return of Miyazaki, and it's doing quite well.
Yeah.
So
it's giving me Princess Mononoke vibes. It has that same sort of like action adventure feel with a little bit of spookiness to it. Anyway, number 2. We discussed this at length in our most recent episode. The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
yes.
Started last month around the same time. Currently coming out at a gross of $283 million. So certainly successful.
Yes, it has dropped off, of course, though, as it's almost a month out from its release. So I don't know if it's on streaming yet, but that might be a good release to watch over the holidays, maybe if you're into Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, Godzilla -1. He is the king of the monsters.
Yes, he
and
is.
this most recent release has definitely proved it, especially for an international release.
Mm-hmm.
How well it's been doing is really great. As same with Boy and the Heron. But I mean, there's something more about that with distribution and all that. But still, 2 movies from Japan.
Yes, in the top 5 in Hollywood is very cool to see.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time we've seen that, so that's really cool to see. That's 2 films doing so well, and it's apparently amazing. They're both amazing films too, so that's even better.
Yeah. Before I check out Godzilla -1, I want to check out Shin Godzilla, which I'm not sure if -1 is a sequel to it, but I've heard that they're very similar. But in the sense that they're both very good. So, yeah. Number 4, Trolls Band Together. We've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll talk about it a little bit in my block. I've seen it. I don't know why, but it's a movie. DreamWorks coming back with the film. So, $146 million gross. Came out a little bit ago as well. So I guess if you don't want to see Wish or you don't want to see the Miyazaki film, you want to see an animated film over the holidays, you can go see Trolls Band Together.
All right. And coming at number 5, oh boy, another concert film. And it's not Taylor Swift this time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've managed to mention Taylor Swift every single episode. And I hope that we won't have to anymore. But anyway, Renaissance, a film by Beyonce highlighting her tour, and also I think there's a documentary aspect to it about what it's like putting a tour together.
Yeah, I think this is less so a concert film. I haven't seen it, but I think it's less so like a filming of a concert, and more so like how she made her concert, like a behind the scenes documentary, as you mentioned. So different type of film, but still a concert film, I would say.
Yeah. Other recent releases, we mentioned Wish. It's Disney's 100th anniversary film, and it's not doing so well. They
wish it was doing better. Of course, all the films we mentioned, and then another mention I just figured I'd throw in here is Silent Night. I haven't seen this yet. I want to, but it's another kind of film. It's similar. Violent Night came out last year. It was with he's from Stranger Things. And
David Harbour.
David Harbour
was with Violent Night as Santa.
Yes, I won't go into depth on this one, but this one's kind of cool. There's no dialogue in it, I believe.
Oh.
It's just action, and like there's like no dialogue. So I think that's really cool. People experimenting with stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna try and see it, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure the last time that's been done.
I know.
It feels very new to me. I wouldn't say that would work with most actors.
Yes.
Like an action, like, I mean, if you think about like The Rock or like Jason Statham, I think they're like intimidating enough looking where they're able to like pull that off. Just no words, just violence.
Oh yeah.
But Joel Kinnaman, who played Colonel Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad movies.
Yes, he did.
I think that works for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool, and I like how they're experimenting with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Otherwise, recent releases just kind of hoping to get you to go to the theater over the holiday break.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll discuss a few more of upcoming things in this intervening time between our semesters, coming a little bit later in the show. But we've got a little bit of time, so I'm just gonna start with my things that I've been watching.
Okay.
Starting off, I've been taking a little bit of a different approach to watching TV recently. I used to have like a very dedicated list, but now I'm approaching it differently in the sense that I just want to watch TV and I want it to be fun. I don't have to stick to a list of like a certain amount of shows that I'm watching. I'm just gonna put on whatever and watch whatever, and I'm gonna enjoy it or I'm not gonna enjoy it. But
there you go.
I've been enjoying most things that I've been watching recently. We'll get a little bit more into that coming back after the break.
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
Best crowd in college hockey, best atmosphere in college hockey. I mean, this is what it's all about.
Again, so far, St. Cloud getting an opportunity here. Cooper scores! Turnaround shot, Messi, they score!
To guarantee a spot, and we'll put ourselves in a good spot. There we go.
Welcome back. I'm gonna get into what I've been watching.
Yes.
First off, starting off, we've mentioned a couple times before as I've been watching through. I recently finished season 2 of The Boys and am working my way into season 3.
Let's go.
You spoke very highly about Gen V, and I'm excited to see that as well. But yes, once again, very violent. If you're
It's not for the young ones.
Yeah, it's not for the young ones. That's what I was gonna say.
Yes.
Anyway, moving forward, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish came out earlier this year. I know you saw it in theaters, but I recently got to see it because it came out on Netflix. I was impressed with it. It wasn't life changing, but at the same time, I think it was done really well.
Yeah.
I think Antonio Banderas really sells that role.
Mm-hmm.
And he has since Shrek 2. But I'm excited to see where the Shrekiverse, if you might call it, goes moving forward. But the great animation, great music, and great performances.
Yeah, it took on it really became a hit. It came out like last December, so and it really took on. It became a hit over the few months after that. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah. Moving on, I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit looser with my TV watching. So I'm going to throw out a list here. And I've been enjoying all of them, and all for different reasons. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's a 90s sitcom.
Okay.
It's fun. I enjoy a sitcom here and there. Steven Universe premiered on Cartoon Network. I'm still in the early seasons, but the episodes go by really quick.
Yes.
And it's very enjoyable. I have to say the soundtrack is great because I think the composer samples a lot of like chiptune, like 8-bit, 16-bit, even like like Game Boy, like Pokemon That kind of sounding music. It sounds great. The Owl House, Disney Channel. I think it's very charming. Same kind of vibe as Sabrina the Teenage Witch because it's about a young girl learning about magic.
Yeah.
The Simpsons, which I've been watching, it's still great. I think I'm in like season 8 or 9. So I'm up to like 1996.
What are they on, like 30 now? Ridiculous amount.
It's like 40 seasons or something. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Community. It's sort of like a workplace comedy almost, except it takes place on the campus of a community college. It's great. That's got Donald Glover.
Yes. 6 seasons in a movie.
6 seasons in a movie.
Come on, we can do it.
News for that movie is coming up just as we're getting out of the strike.
Yes.
It's been in development, and I think they're getting closer and closer to. I think they're potentially shooting next year. But
Yeah,
we'll
I think
see.
they were going to film it on the strike. So.
Yeah. Phineas and Ferb, great Disney Channel program, and because I think I remember when it started, and yeah, I think it gets better as time goes on because there are some jokes that like I wasn't able to pick up on that I'm getting now. Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Weirdly, it's a fun show to put on late at night. It's true crime, procedural dramas and all that. Coming up next, I'll give my short thoughts on it, and then we'll pick up afterwards. But Doctor Who recently finished 3 specials. So this is with David Tennant as the 14th Doctor.
Yes.
And then they will pick up with the new Doctor, number 15, starting on Christmas. Christmas, I think. So it'll be a Christmas special. But I'm a really big fan of Doctor Who. Like I grew up with it. We'll get into it a little bit more. But I grew up watching 4 and 5, and then I started with New Who, as they call it, which started in 2005 and has continued since last year or 2021-ish. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about it coming up after the break.
Hi, I'm not Greg Marcus.
And I'm also not Greg Marcus.
And welcome to Back to the Movies.
If you want to watch 2, occasionally 3, college students talk about the movies they love and hate.
Catch a new episode every other Friday on UTVS at 8 p.m. Also available on Vimeo. So please, join us.
Now, if you'll excuse us, we have to get back to the movies.
Welcome back. We're discussing the 3 new hour-long specials of Doctor Who.
Yes.
I thought because we are discussing it, I would bring in my prop. This is the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith's sonic screwdriver. It's gonna make a noise.
Oh, yo.
It's spring-loaded too. It's fun. I got it when I was in like 4th or 5th grade. But yeah,
That's cool.
discuss your prop.
Oh yeah, it's done. Okay, this isn't tied to literally anything that I was watching, but it's like movie related. I went to Universal Studios like 2 summers ago in Hollywood, and I got a popcorn bucket, and it's really cool. It has like that thing where it like changes depending on what angle you're looking at it. Yeah, it looks weird, but yeah, it's cool. There was popcorn in here. There no longer is. I ate it. It's all gone.
Okay, let's talk about Doctor Who.
Yes.
I like having grown up with the show, and seen it in all sorts of shades of quality, and writing, and all that. I have to say I was pretty impressed. I didn't like love it. I didn't think it was phenomenal, but I was impressed with it, and ultimately I was happy with it. One thing I will say about the third special, Neil Patrick Harris returns as the Toymaker, which is a villain that I believe started with the first Doctor. I think which was William Hartnell way back in the 1960s. And they bring him back, and they bring new life to this character, and they're really bringing new life to the show. But yeah, Neil Patrick Harris steals the show.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite with you. I have never seen a Doctor Who episode before the specials. I really like the space, or I really like some of the aspects of the second episode. I'm not going to spoil anything that happens. And then I thought the third special was really cool as well. I don't know the history of any of the characters, but I thought it was a good way to ease into the show. I think I wasn't like too confused, unless a lot of it's just going over my head. But I thought it was really cool. And then of course the introduction of I'm very excited of the next Doctor coming up soon.
Number 15, Ncuti Gatwa.
Yes,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
I like. Yeah, I won't spoil the special. Definitely check it out if you can. But yeah, it's interesting because the show's getting it started in 1963. It took a hiatus, like late 80s, and then it came back in 2005. And now this is technically a new reboot. They're rebooting the show for a second time. Now here in 2023.
So yeah, I would say I think it's a good time if you want to get in Doctor Who. I don't know the history of it, but I enjoyed it personally. So if you want to go check out Doctor Who, I think it's a good time to do that, especially if they're rebooting it. So seems like a good time to get into the Whoverse. I think is that what they call it? The Whoverse?
Some people say Hooniverse. I'm not sure. I love that.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, that's a little bit what I watched over these past few weeks. I watched not a lot, but I did watch a few things of note. As I mentioned earlier, I saw Trolls Band Together. Circumstances happened, and it's actually quite enjoyable. It's not like the most profound movie you'll ever see. It's a Trolls movie, okay? There's a lot of music, there's a lot of singing, there's a lot of dancing. But it's actually... it's got some deeper themes that it touches on, which I think is really cool, that I didn't expect from a Trolls movie at all. And it's just quite enjoyable. It's a fun movie. The colors are really nice. The animation is amazing. DreamWorks has been on a roll with their animation styles. There's a different mix of styles in this film too. Definitely, I love the character designs as well. They're excellent. So just really solid Trolls film. I don't know if they're going to do a fourth. They did a trilogy, but quite enjoyable, I would say. Yeah, and then I also watched recently Merry Little Batman, which I believe was canceled by Warner Brothers, and Amazon picked it up and finished it and released it recently. The animation style is, you have to get used to it. I like talking about animation styles a lot, but it's definitely something you have to get used to. It turns into Home Alone like 30 minutes in, which is there were a lot of notes that I had, and I didn't write them all down. But it's a movie, you know. It's got a lot of tropes that it talks in. The character designs are very out there. They're not like something like you're gonna like Mickey Mouse. Disney makes sure Mickey Mouse looks the same through all the different mediums.
We'll pick up on that coming up after the break, along with a discussion of the box office for the past year.
Yes.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
It's important to get a flu shot each and every year because flu viruses are constantly changing and immunity from the vaccine decreases over time. Flu vaccines are updated annually to work against that year's viruses. The best time to get your shot is in the fall, but getting it later can still help. Getting a flu shot lowers your risk of getting sick. And if you do happen to get flu, it's likely to be less severe.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Welcome back. It's been a big year for movies.
Yes, it has. And a lot of movies have made great accomplishments in the box office this year. And we thought we would do a quick little recap of this past year at the box office in Hollywood. So I got a few categories together. I'm not going to cover like every single stat because that's a lot. So we're just going to cover a few. We'll start with probably the most notable, which is the highest grossing studio. Well, I guess that would be a movie, but highest grossing studio this year. Not the usual contender. Usually, at least pre-2020, it was Disney, especially 2019. Wow, they made a ton of money. This year, though, it was Universal with $1.74 billion. So they made it big this year. This is, I believe, excluding Illumination from that because they had Mario and they had Oppenheimer. Those are both billions dollars. So excluding that, I believe. And then Disney was in second with $1.4 billion. So they're in second, so they'll be fine. But yeah, I thought that was a cool statistic.
We're not worried about Disney's financial situation.
Yeah, we're not. That's not what we're concerned about. Of course, next up is highest grossing film. It's Barbie. Yeah, $1.4 billion. Incredible film, huge this year. Barbenheimer, it was huge. So
I think it's interesting matching those two statistics. Disney made $1.4 billion last year, in the past year, 2023. Barbie made that exact same amount.
Alone.
I mean, give or take a few $100,000, but still, $1.4 billion for one movie is a lot. And that's certainly an accomplishment, especially for Greta Gerwig.
Yes.
The director. And there was so much work that went behind that movie. We talked about it early on in the season. But yeah. I also want to point attention to this number here. This industry, movies in general, and I'm not sure if that includes, is that just box office?
Yeah, just box office.
Okay. Wow. $8.397 billion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a crazy number. That's a lot. That's a lot. Next up, smaller statistic, but figured to mention the number of billion-dollar films this year. Of course, it goes up and down every year. We usually have a few billion-dollar films. That's like the threshold for like a movie to like make it big. Even 2019, when we had so many, it was still like that's the threshold. Even the $2 billion club was becoming a thing. But this year, it's still $1 billion. We had two films. Of course, we already mentioned one, which is Barbie, and then we had the Mario movie, which was huge as well. Oppenheimer, I believe, is kind of close, but hasn't gotten that threshold yet. But
which it makes sense because it was a 3-hour Christopher Nolan movie. It's going to be a little bit harder to get people into the theater for that. But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Next up is studios with the most amount of releases. I thought this was an interesting one because it shows like kind of quality over quantity, sort of. And the top studio, which is not who I thought it was, it's actually Sony. Sony Pictures has 26 releases, which is a lot higher than I thought. I guess I don't really look for their name on like posters and stuff. I just kind of see it and forget about it. And then second is Universal with 20 releases. So I thought that was very cool. Universal, of course, being first place at the box office as well. And then last statistic is the biggest weekend this year for the box office in Hollywood, which was July 21st, which you might remember as the release of Barbie. It was $162 million made that weekend. So, yep, Barbie's a juggernaut, and it was huge, as we all know. Yeah. So, yeah, a big weekend for Hollywood, or big year for Hollywood this year. And really cool to see. Just a quick recap of all the biggest numbers and the highest statistics.
I mean, granted, there's a lot that we're not mentioning, and
Yes.
I'm sure like there are a lot of independent filmmakers that had a lot of success this year, but is it the greatest that two companies are developing 46 movies that and making $1.74 billion? Is it?
Yeah, is it?
It's great for people that love movies, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see the industry succeeding, but it's not always about the highest grossing or the biggest number of this.
We'll get more movies coming back after the break.
Hi, I'm not Greg Marcus.
And I'm also not Greg Marcus.
And welcome to Back to the Movies.
If you want to watch 2, occasionally 3, college students talk about the movies they love and hate.
Catch a new episode every other Friday on UTVS at 8 p.m. Also available on Vimeo. So please, join us.
Now, if you'll excuse us, we have to get back to the movies.
Welcome to the first annual Back to the Movies Awards with your hosts, Robin Oakman and Brett Pettit. Let's start off with our first category.
Yes.
The winner for the Biggest Disappointment Award is...
Oh, yes. So we'll go back and forth with each of our picks. For me, a Biggest Disappointment Award goes to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Not a great film. I think it has done a lot of damage to the MCU, but that's my pick.
Yeah. On that same theme, my biggest disappointment, not a movie, but same vein, Secret Invasion. It was one of 2 or 3 Marvel shows releasing this year.
Yeah.
Which I think speaks to a larger problem. There's too much.
Yep.
And I think people are starting to notice that. And it's not the best quality. Loki was really good. But yeah. But I think we were both kind of let down by the MCU this year.
I was just going to say, I think it's interesting we both had MCU picks. The next category is favorite film, completely opposite side of our first award. My favorite film is Across the Spider-Verse. Shocking. I know, it's shocking. I absolutely love this film. I love the first one. I can't say enough good things about it. I listen to the soundtrack every day. Robin, what is your pick?
I had to think about this, but it's the exact same. It's Spider-Verse.
Let's go.
I can't speak highly enough about this movie. And I'm really excited for when we get the conclusion to this trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next award then, we'll go from Hollywood to streaming, is favorite show. My pick, I couldn't decide between these two, so I'm just going to mention them both, is Gen V, which I mentioned earlier, The Boys spinoff. Amazing show. Amazing. And then Silo. Not a lot of people talked about this, but Apple TV Plus show starring Rebecca Ferguson, I think. Amazing. If you like Severance, you'll like this.
Interesting.
So, yeah, sci-fi. What's your pick, Robin?
Wow. I had 2 sci-fi picks as well. Oh. I really couldn't decide because I like both for different reasons. But guess what? It's me talking about Star Wars again.
Yo.
Ahsoka and The Mandalorian both released this year. With Ahsoka, with Mandalorian in the early spring, and then Ahsoka released over the summer. It was actually earlier this fall. But I liked both for really different reasons. I think they both had different approaches, but they had the same sort of leadership behind it. my favorite thing about Star Wars, which I don't know if we've mentioned before, is like spaceship combat. And so if you like that, there was a lot of that. And if you like lightsabers, there was a lot of that. If you like explorations of the Force as a greater mystical concept, there's a lot of that. But pew pew spaceships, woo,
yeah.
Yeah. Lots of TIE fighters exploding and whatnot. But yeah, that was my favorite show. Moving on to the next category, best soundtrack / score.
Yes. My answer to this one is also shocking. It's Spider-Verse again. Daniel Pemberton does not miss. He is amazing. Not even just the score, but the soundtrack as a whole. Metro Boomin, amazing as well. Just phenomenal. It's amazing. Robin, what's your?
It's also Spider-Verse. Yeah, I also chose Spider-Verse because I think the main standout of the soundtrack to me are two tracks. It's Spider-Gwen's theme, or Spider-Woman or the Ghost Spider or whatever you want to call her, and then Miguel O'Hara's theme, Spider-Man 2099. And the latter of which sort of made a meme over this past summer.
It did. I guess if I had to choose, then I'd probably do Gwen Stacy's theme as well, and then Start a Band, which is the soundtrack that plays at the very end of the movie. Chills every single time I listen to it. So,
honorable mention to Barbie.
Yes.
Kind of like, was it a musical entirely? No. Was it sort of disguised? Was it very sneakily a musical? Yes.
Yes, it was.
There are a couple tracks created specifically for the movie. I really should mention Billie Eilish, What Was I Made For? Really made waves on the music charts. But I think about I'm Just Ken probably once a day. And yeah, go Ryan Gosling.
Come on, he's award nominated next to a few other songs. So yeah,
who thought that the biggest movie of the year would have a completely unexpected dance break?
Never would have thought.
Yeah.
The next category then is a bit of a different one. Best marketing. So like the most impressive marketing campaign kind of for a project this year. And my pick is Barbie. We kind of talked about the music really just shot up to the charts. The marketing everywhere. They did like a Barbie dream house. Just incredible marketing. The marketing team outdid themselves, and it really helped make this film a blockbuster.
Yeah, merchandise is definitely a big part of that. The I'm Knuff sweater featured in the movie and then released to like as a physical clothing item that you can wear. I also chose Barbie for best marketing because I had to think about it and what was really promoted the most this year. It was Barbie. I think we had a lot of bad marketing this year. Where people didn't realize that something was being released. And so like Wish, just out of nowhere. Secret Invasion wasn't promoted like 2 weeks leading up to. But yeah, let's move on to our last category.
Yeah. So our last category is kind of a fun one. It's craziest cameo. So like we're gonna try not to spoil any films, but like the craziest cameo in a film this year. And my pick is, this movie's been out since May, so I'll say it, is Fast X. At the end of the film, there's a cameo from Dwayne Johnson. And I think that was a bit crazy considering the history behind the series of him and Vin Diesel.
I will reveal my last award coming up after the break.
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair into hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
Best crowd in college hockey. Best atmosphere in college hockey. I mean, this is what it's all about.
chances again so far. St. Cloud getting an opportunity here. Cooper scores! Turnaround shot, Chelsea. They score!
To guarantee a spot. And we put ourselves in a good spot. There we go.
Welcome back. My final award for craziest cameo. I couldn't choose just one, but Ahsoka had a lot, and I don't really want to spoil that. But I think fan service has really been the word of the year for Star Wars. If you have been keeping up with all these animated series and the movies and even like comic books and stuff, there's a lot in Ahsoka to be happy about to celebrate. And that was a pretty crazy cameo, if I must say myself.
Yeah.
Let's get right into a preview of what's releasing in theaters over our break here.
Yeah, there's Hollywood's still going strong. They got a lot of stuff coming out over the next few weeks, and we're going to talk about a few of the projects. There's a few projects that already came out. We've already mentioned a few of them. One I'll mention is Migration, which comes out next week, December 22nd. It's from Illumination, their original film, and it's got a short playing in front of it with Despicable Me 1 villain Vector.
Yes.
So excited to see that.
Yeah. A couple of things that are already released. Wonka, Timothée Chalamet. It's a musical. There's been a marketing trend recently where people don't want to reveal that their movie is a musical, but it is. So yeah, Timothée Chalamet. Also releasing on Netflix, long-awaited sequel, I think, to Chicken Run. This one is called Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget. I saw a trailer recently, and I don't usually watch trailers, but I was very intrigued, so I'll definitely be giving that a look. Also coming up on the 22nd with Migration is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. DC's had kind of a tough year with The Flash and Blue Beetle kind of flopping.
And Shazam. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Excellent point there. I forgot that it was released. But yeah, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I think people like the last one, and it looks pretty good, but so did Blue Beetle.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it does. And one more honorable mention coming out next week is Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's new sci-fi adventure. So on Netflix. So part one, we'll see how it does. A Child of Fire. So
we might have to discuss that coming up in January.
Yeah.
Because I've got some feelings about Zack Snyder, and they're not exactly good ones. Anyway, moving on, December 22nd as well, releasing on Disney Plus, season 2 of Marvel's What If. Season 1 was really interesting. I've always loved the concept of What If, because you're getting into hypothetical situations with superheroes.
Yeah.
What's not to like? I've read a few comics, and specifically the Civil War comic line initially had a really interesting What If, and I'm always really interested to see when that happens in comics. It's very holiday themed.
Yes. Well. Also to mention, it's releasing one episode a day starting on the 22nd.
Yeah.
So 9 straight days. Kind of a cool release strategy.
Yeah. Next, releasing on Christmas Day, The Color Purple, also musical.
Yep.
January 12th, The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. Probably, there's been a lot of silly concepts for action movies. We mentioned Violent Night from last year, which is what if it was Santa but Die Hard?
Yeah, basically.
But now it's Jason Statham and he's a beekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what that entails, but we'll see. Coming up on January 12th, really want to highlight this one, Mean Girls, an adaptation of the Broadway adaptation of the movie, which is really silly to say sometimes, but with I would be remiss if I didn't mention our good friend and fellow Back to the Movies host Julia. Is definitely going to have some words to say about her favorite musical artist, Renee Rapp.
Yes. Perhaps be on the show for a segment about that. So that'll be very nice, coming out on January 12th in theaters.
January 10th, Echo, Disney Plus. I think Marvel has a chance to redeem themselves coming
Yes.
up in this next year. And I think Echo is the place to start because people love Daredevil, and it's very closely connected to the Daredevil villain Kingpin, who, interestingly enough, started out as a Spider-Man villain. Or they share them because both Spider-Man and Daredevil are like really street-level heroes. But yeah, coming up after the break, we'll get a preview of what's coming up for the full year of 2024.
Yeah, lots of stuff coming up.
Hi, I'm not Greg Marcus.
And I'm also not Greg Marcus.
And welcome to Back to the Movies.
If you want to watch 2, occasionally 3, college students talk about the movies they love and hate.
Catch a new episode every other Friday on UTVS at 8 p.m. Also available on Vimeo. So please, join us.
Now, if you'll excuse us, we have to get back to the movies.
$2024, like we said, big year coming up. Let's just speed run through these releases. Coming up on February 14th, a return to Sony's non-Spider-Man Spider-Man universe.
The SPUMC, as some people like to call it. Yeah, Madam Web comes out on the 14th. It will be a film that has a script and is a movie. So
it will be one of the movies of the year.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. March 1st, I think really greatly anticipated film for the both of us.
Yeah.
Dune Part 2. I'm very excited for it.
Dune.
Yeah.
This will be a good one, of course. Amazing cast. Denis Villeneuve. I think.
Villeneuve, whatever.
Yeah. So gonna be a good one. Excited.
Yeah. Kung Fu Panda 4, March 8th. Yay.
Yeah.
DreamWorks. Kung Fu. Jack Black. Pandas.
Yeah. What
right.
more do you need?
March 29th. Ghostbusters. Frozen Empire. I haven't seen a single one of these like recent Ghostbusters sequels, so I'll definitely need to check those out before I go and see that. But we like Paul Rudd here.
Yeah,
so.
we do like Paul Rudd. So yeah, March 29th. After that is Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Godzilla and Kong fans are eating good right now, and they're going to eat even better on April 12th when the new movie comes out.
Yeah, lots of Godzilla recently. Godzilla
Yes.
-1, the Secrets of, what was the title of the Apple Plus?
Monarch, something, Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited for Godzilla X Kong because I loved Godzilla vs. Kong. Anyway, April 12th. May 3rd, Ryan Gosling's The Fall Guy. It's about stunt artists.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I just like the concept and Ryan Gosling. So, it'll be a good film. Next up on May 24th is Furiosa, which is Mad Max film.
It's a prequel.
It's a prequel, yes, thank you. So,
with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Thank you.
Brilliant. As Charlize Theron's character, Furiosa from Mad Max Fury Road.
Yep.
Yeah. May 24th, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We had a Planet of the Apes trilogy directed by Matt Reeves, who did the Batman last year. And I haven't seen them, but I've heard really good things about them. So this will kick off a new trilogy, and Andy Serkis is great.
I think that, so this will be good. I think the director of this is doing the new Zelda movie. I might be crazy. But yeah, he's doing another big high-profile project. I digress. Next up after that is Ballerina. This is I believe it's a John Wick spinoff.
Yes.
So
with Ana de Armas.
Yes. So June 7th. Another John Wick film. Curious to see how it looks.
June 14th. Bad Boys 4. I have never seen Bad Boys, but I like Will Smith.
Yeah, I liked the last one. That's the only one I've seen. Bad Boys for Life was cool. So, curious to see how this one is.
Yeah. June 28th. A Quiet Place Day 1 prequel. I think it's nice to see how an apocalypse gets started.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I love to see that as well.
Anyway, July 3rd. Despicable Me 4.
Gru returns. These films have consistently made a lot of money at the box office. So here's another one, and everyone loved Minions: Rise of Gru. I think is what it was called. So
kids love those Minions.
Oh boy, they do. So yeah. Next up though is a movie I am so excited for, and I believe Rob, you are also as well. It's the big ticket movie film that everyone's looking forward, or a lot of people are looking forward to, Deadpool 3 or whatever it ends up being called.
Yeah.
Big Marvel movie. You know, it's gonna be big. July 29th or 26th. Sorry.
Hugh Jackman returns to the role of the Wolverine.
Yes.
I hope after this is done, he'll get a rest because he's kind of been carrying the X-Men franchise for years now, and I think he gets to watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
On a grateful universe, yes.
Anyway, so Deadpool's entry into the MCU, I'm interested to see how that goes.
Next up is Borderlands. I think this movie has been in production
since like 2015.
Yeah, it's been a really long time, and it's been just a pain, I think, to put it lightly. So it'll finally release on August 9th. Maybe, unless it keeps getting pushed by like the New Mutants back in like 2019.
Yeah,
or something. So
we'll discuss more of the big movies in 2024 coming up after the break.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
It's important to get a flu shot each and every year because flu viruses are constantly changing and immunity from the vaccine decreases over time. Flu vaccines are updated annually to work against that year's viruses. The best time to get your shot is in the fall, but getting it later can still help. Getting a flu shot lowers your risk of getting sick, and if you do happen to get flu, it's likely to be less severe.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Welcome back. We're going to discuss a little bit more about 2024.
Yep.
Coming up on August 16th, 2024, Alien Romulus. I am a big fan of the Alien franchise. I don't know if we've mentioned that on the show before, but I am able to accept all of the Alien movies for what they are. And these past two with Prometheus and Alien Covenant acting as like prequels to the first Alien. I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. But I remain cautiously optimistic, but I was also really impressed by Prey, which was the Predator spinoff. So yeah. Anyway, August 30th.
We go back to the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. There we go. That's the full official time. Kraven the Hunter officially comes out. It was supposed to come out this last August, I think, or this past year, October sometime, and then they delayed it. Starring
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Kraven depicted amazingly in Spider-Man 2 video game, so we'll see how this depiction comes up and compares. I don't think it's going to be as good, though.
Yeah.
But I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
I think the thing about these Sony movies is these are all great villains and great characters when they get the chance to interact with Spider-Man. So if you don't have Spider-Man in your Spider-Man villain movie,
yeah,
what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
So whatever.
I think it's got something related to Spider-Man or whatever he said at the end of Morbius.
September 6th, a sequel to Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Michael Keaton is returning. Winona Ryder is returning. Yeah, I've seen Beetlejuice. I think this is like pretty highly anticipated for people. Like Beetlejuice, I think is a fan favorite, like spooky Halloween movie. But I think this is mainly marketed for people who have nostalgia for the first Beetlejuice, and also people who like the Broadway adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah. September 3rd, except I don't think Beetlejuice 2 is a musical. I should note that. September 13th.
Transformers 1.
Interesting title.
Yeah. I don't know much about Transformers, but I'm intrigued by this one. It is an animated film. Of course, Transformers has had a little bit of a resurgence lately, kind of, sort of. I think it's less disliked than it was than the Bayverse kind of was. You know, he had the Haley Steinfeld. I forget the name of
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee, thank you. And then we had, of course, this past summer. So curious to see how this one does. I believe it's starring Chris Hemsworth and a few others. It's got a very good cast.
Yeah. I think when the Transformers movies are actually able to focus on the Transformers themselves, it's better.
So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, September 13th. I don't know if we mentioned the date, but
October 4th, the Joker returns. In Joker French words, I'm not going to try to pronounce. It's the sequel. It's going to be a musical with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be really interesting.
Joaquin Phoenix, of course, $1 billion film, first one. Todd Phillips.
That sounds right. Yeah.
We'll see what he's been cooking up. So, right after that, a month later is Venom 3. Tom Hardy returns the symbiote.
Yeah, more Sony. 3 Sony movies in this year.
Yes. I think this is the most anticipated out of the 3.
I will say, I think even though they haven't had Spider-Man, they've been able to do something like really creative with Venom. I know that Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, was not very well received. Neither was the first Venom, but I think it's really creative and I think it's really fun.
Yeah. November 8th. So I'll go see. Yeah. I like Venom. Venom. And then next up, I believe also with Tom Hardy, maybe. I'm probably getting it confused. Gladiator 2 is coming out on November 22nd. We're now furiously typing into the Google search. Pedro Pascal. I'm very sorry. But yeah, Pedro Pascal is starring in Gladiator 2. So yeah, it's sequel to the very well-known Gladiator.
Yeah. November 27th, Wicked Part 1. Wicked, of course, being the very popular prequel musical to The Wizard of Oz, focusing on the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yep.
They're doing 2 parts. I guess it's going to be a big deal. December 13th, animated film, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. The Rohirrim are the horse-riding warriors from Rohan. We'll discuss one last one coming up after the break.
Hi, I'm not Greg Marcus.
And I'm also not Greg Marcus.
And welcome to Back to the Movies.
If you want to watch 2, occasionally 3, college students talk about the movies they love and hate.
Catch a new episode every other Friday on UTVS at 8 p.m. Also available on Vimeo. So please, join us.
Now, if you'll excuse us, we have to get back to the movies.
welcome back. One more big movie for 2024, releasing on December 20th, Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yep.
They're introducing Shadow the Hedgehog, who is the edgiest of all the hedgehogs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, one last This Day in Cinema History for this season
Yep.
of Back to the Movies. Beginning December 16th, 1925, Dick Van Dyke, the chimney sweep from Mary Poppins, is born. More birthdays. Christopher Plummer, I think most well known to people as Harlan Thrombey from Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
He's born in 1929. December 16th, 1957, Steve Buscemi, most well known to people our age as Randall from Monsters Inc., but he's also known for The Big Lebowski.
Jamie Foxx, 1967. He was, of course, in Spider-Man, and then Django Unchained. He was born as well. A lot of birthdays.
Yeah.
In addition, we got a bunch of releases as well. 1985, Clue, the movie, was released. And in 1996, Mars Attack.
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
I first encountered Mars Attacks in a Blockbuster back in the day, and it's really weird. It's like a cult classic. It's creepy, but it's an alien invasion movie. I love it. 2013, The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug is released. This was the second of the 3 Hobbit movies. I think people like this one the least, but I mean, there's a lot of history behind how that trilogy got developed, but people didn't like it.
And then finally in 2019, Jumanji: The Next Level and Uncut Gems were both released in theaters. So, and that's all. That's a lot of history today on this day in history.
Yeah. Let's discuss more about 2024 movies.
Yeah.
Why don't we? I just touching on Dune Part 2 a bit. They're introducing more characters. Florence Pugh and Austin Butler will be in this one. I can't remember the character names. I haven't read Dune since I was in like 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I have been meaning to reread it, especially after the first movie came out. But I was really, really enchanted with the Dune Part 1.
Yeah, and this is the second half to the first book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm hoping that if this does well, they'll move on to the second Dune book, Dune Messiah.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's going to happen because I think they're going to reach a point where they're going to be like, how many more of these are we going to adapt, and can we afford Timothée Chalamet?
Yeah, how much longer can we afford Timothée Chalamet? But oh yeah, very excited for that film. Originally supposed to come out recently, but March 1st. It's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah. Big titles. Deadpool 3. It seems like there will be some multiverse shenanigans. I know recently there's been a lot of set leaks, which happens a lot for Marvel movies. And Ryan Reynolds has commented on it, saying like, "Hey, we're trying to save the surprise." Yeah.
So yeah, he's also played into it a little bit. So it's unfortunate with movies like this, but I think it's going to be a really special film, and Deadpool in the MCU as well. Yeah. So we're excited for that. And the only Marvel release this year, in theatrically
for the MCU.
Yes, for the MCU.
But yeah, thanks for joining us on the season of Back to the Movies. We hope you get back to the movies. Have a great break.
See you next time.